What is up, everybody? How are you doing today?
Doing great. How
I didn't. It was the second time in a row. I didn't ask you.
You can ask me though. I'm here with you.
I will ask you in a second.
They can hear. They can't even talk back to you. Why are you asking them?
Because I want them to make them feel good. You know, like, oh, he's including us in the show. They're a part of this, John.
They are. They're the community.
Yeah.
But they can't answer you. I can. I'm doing great.
Well, how are you, John?
I'm doing great.
Good. Well, I'm doing pretty good too. Thanks for asking. My name's Michael, and this is John. We are the Fantasy Tap, and we are here to bring you the best fantasy football knowledge, and then talk about beer, drink some beer, hang out while we do so.
Yeah. I like it. It was a good idea.
Oh, it is a good idea.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's get into our beer of the day real quick. Have you tasted it yet?
No,
I haven't taken a sip.
I haven't.
Go ahead and take a sip. Let me know what you think while I taste.
It's actually really good.
That's and you're not an you enjoy IPAs when friends are around.
I'll drink them. But no, this is a really good beer. I mean, 68 IBU, 6.8 alcohol. I mean, hey.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's called the Sunshine City.
Struggle in there.
Yeah, I know. Sunshine City by Green Bench Brewing Company. They're out of St. Petersburgh, Florida. John, what was your nickname in high school? Kind of had to do something with sunshine, right?
So moving on.
But anyways, let's get into our show overview. Today we've got news, and then guess what we got, John?
The finale of our running back rankings?
We do our consensus running back rankings.
Absolutely.
We finished 1 through 10 last episode, but now we have 11 through 24.
Hey, these are the ones you guys, if you guys want to grab Lamar or an early round
Lamar
Jackson or an early round receiver.
These
are some running backs you're going to be able to grab
I was like,
in the
Lamar
second
Miller
round,
didn't make this
hopefully. And yeah, I mean, he might, he could.
I mean, potentially
as a running back, he gets 1,000 yards.
Is he on our consensus though?
You gotta listen to find out.
No, they would not listen to us. Do not. If
Lamar is not on our running back rankings, I apologize for everyone.
Thank you. Apologize to me.
No. So, moving on. We actually do have some news coming out of training camp this week.
Some news.
Yeah, we've got a lot of news. So, besides the fantasy important stuff that we're about to talk about, there is just people getting injured left, right, and center all over camps. So you're going to really want to make sure you're paying attention to any news updates that you get. First thing off the board, though, Miles Sanders has been out of practice, along with Boston Scott and even Dallas Goedert. So Corey Clement's getting first-round snaps right now. So
are you drafting Corey Clement in the first round?
No, not at all.
All right.
But so you do want to pay attention to what's going on with Miles Sanders. They did report a lower body injury.
Week to week.
So he's week to week at the moment. So make sure you're paying attention to that. If your draft's coming up, take that into account. Is he going to play week 1? Is he going to be reliable week 1 to where he's going to be getting enough snaps?
They did say he should be ready for week 1. I mean, we are 4 weeks out, I believe, just under maybe. But yeah, just keep an eye on it because you don't want an injury to continually nag through the season.
Yeah, and you don't have to watch that injury list every week just to make sure if you have someone you can play while looking at the waivers or looking at the rest of your roster, hoping you have someone to take a spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to draft him, as early as he's going, and have to continually worry, like you said. So
yeah, but so another great running back who's on our injury list right now is surprisingly Nick Chubb. He's going into concussion protocol after, I guess, a bad hit. So, again, someone you're going to want to pay attention to, see what they do with him.
He should be out by the time, by week 1, and he's been in the offense before, so I don't really seeing it affecting his value, I would say. But it's definitely something to monitor.
Yeah, absolutely. And so possibly a little bump to Kareem Hunt, if just slightly in this littlest bit, because you don't want to have to come into a situation where you have, Nick Chubb out and Kareem Hunt's not on your roster, because if that were the case, then you're missing out on some points.
Wouldn't be good.
I wouldn't be happy. So, what do you think about that? You don't think it affects him at all?
Chubb?
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, I think he'll be fine. As long as he's out there week 1, I don't think, and he's actually one of the running backs we'll be talking about today. But I don't think that he will be. I don't think this is going to be an issue, especially if he. I mean, concussion protocol, depending on the severity, a week and a half or so. So, and hopefully it's not bad. They haven't done the first round of testing for once he gets set in. They haven't done that testing yet. So, I mean, it's just something to monitor. I don't think it knocks his value. His value at all. So
I can agree with that.
At least at this point. Same with Miles Sanders. I mean, right now he is week to week. I know we talked about it, but he is week to week. So it's both of them are something to monitor.
Yeah,
so.
just stuff you want to pay attention to. And for me personally, I think that the fact that he does have the concussion going on does at least want you to take the risk in the Kareem Hunt handcuff, knowing that if Kareem Hunt gets that full backfield, you're looking at someone who's a league winner. So if you're questioning whether or not you should take him, it's more than likely a yes. So I like Kareem Hunt a lot this year.
Yeah.
But moving on from that.
Oh, you want me to get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there was a little bit of news out of the Cardinals camp, I guess Cliff Kingsbury said, and of course there's going to be coach speak throughout this entire training camp and preseason practices and stuff like that. But he says that Chase Edmonds could be a starting running back on another NFL team. That's not very uplifting if you're high on Kenyon Drake.
No, I mean, earlier in this offseason, you saw Kenyon Drake going, as a first-round running back in fantasy and PPR leagues. So, personally, I always thought that what you saw from him towards the end of the season once he got to the Arizona offense was more than what you can expect from him in a full-time season. It was, just, I don't want to say lucky, but it was just good games for him. And that's a little bit better than what you can expect from him. And as we get a little more into him a little bit later, because surprisingly, we do have him as a top 24 back.
I mean, I think that's definitely.
I mean, that's obvious.
Attainable.
I mean, yeah, even with a split workload with Chase Edmonds, he's going to get that. But earlier in this offseason, when he was going as a first round back, that was just too much for me to buy into.
Right.
And this news just kind of reaffirms that and makes me more comfortable about where I have him. And so where I have him's pretty much where I think he's going to be. So when we get into that, we'll get into it. But Kenyon Drake also got some praise from Cliff Kingsbury. He was also told that, Cliff Kingsbury said that he's hard to tackle in a one-on-one. And so they're looking to get him more pass-catching opportunities to create those opportunities for him. So if you're in a half-point PPR or PPR league, just keep that in mind. And I think he's a great pickup. Right now, he's going at a pretty good value. So
where's he going at?
Right now, he is going at, as the ADP, 15.5. So he's going RB12. So he has, we'll get into him a little bit later, but value-ish.
Yeah. Personally for me, the Chase Edmond news, or coach speak, I guess, does scare me a little bit off of Kenyon. But I don't think I will be. I'm staying away from Kenyon, for where he's being drafted. But like you said, we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's move on to Todd Gurley in Atlanta. John, what do they say in Atlanta?
So Jason Budd of the Atlanta Journal Constitution reports that Gurley actually missed practice on Tuesday for the sake of load management along with Alexander Mack. Now, we did have reports of Todd Gurley coming in and, having some sort of limp when he's walking on the sidelines and walking through practice, but not having something happening while he's in full sprinting motion. So I don't know what to take of this. I mean, is he just resting because they don't feel like, he doesn't need the practice, or is he resting because he does not need to practice because he's injured or he's hurting or he's just not feeling great? I mean, personally, this did affect my rankings of him slightly, just in the slightest. He did move down a spot.
So for me personally, the last report that came out, that affected his ranking in my spot, or in my rankings at least.
Yeah, and we're both not someone who usually buys into a lot of coach speak or off-season speak, especially from someone who's coming from a local journalist column. So, I mean, I do expect Todd Gurley to be someone who's had knee injuries since his college days. So you're kind of easy to buy into at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's easy to buy into, but I will back off of him a little bit. But we'll get into him a little bit more as well. He happens to be a part of this list. So anyways, let's get into our last piece of news, and Bryce Love, baby.
Oh, so honestly, luckily someone we're not going to be talking about later, so I can get a little more in depth on him. I actually really like Bryce Love. I think hopefully with only Adrian Peterson, Peyton Barber, and J.D. McKissick, along with Bryce Love being the realistic backs in Washington's offense this season, you don't see Adrian Peterson being able to produce 16 games worth of rushing attempts and being a solid running back for them. Peyton Barber's been rumored to be the one getting that workload, but with Bryce Love coming off of his injury finally, he was someone who was a runner-up for the Heisman. I think he's someone who at least needs a look. You're grabbing him super late.
Undraftable.
If you're rostering him, some people are questioning you. But there's nothing but the ceiling for him at this point. I mean, his floor is non-existent, but you're not playing him unless he becomes that running back for Washington. And with Adrian Peterson and maybe Peyton Barber, who's the maybe second running back there, you've got someone who knows what he could be. So I'm someone who's super hot on him, and if I can grab him in my last round, I'm grabbing him.
Yeah, currently he's going in a PPR league. He's going as the ADP 147.1, running back 57. He has shot up a little bit lately because of this piece of news, as well as the Darius guys being released. So he is definitely somebody to keep an eye on. With him taking those snaps, I personally believe that AP, no matter what, especially those first few games, will come out as the starting running back. But then it's really, between Antonio Gibson and Bryce Love, personally for me, those are the two guys that I think one of them will eventually take over this backfield. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Late round grab. You don't want to grab him, or you don't want to have to pick him up. The week one when he balls out, or week two when he balls out. Grab him late. Just continue to monitor camp and see kind of what happens there, where the depth chart goes. Kind of keep an eye on that as well. You got his college stats pulled up? Yeah, you do?
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing up the fact that I don't think Antonio Gibson is going to be a huge super threat this year. I mean, he's only had a career of 44 receptions and 33 rushing attempts through his 2 years in college. So, you've got Jonathan Taylor getting 34 rushing attempts in a single game. So, to know what's expected from him, obviously he's a super athletic player, but this year, what can the offense expect from him? He couldn't be in a better situation in a team that's been tragically not very well lately.
Well, he could be in a better situation.
If he had a better offensive
He could be on
line.
Kansas City, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
They wouldn't have spent the capital on someone who's seen less than 80 plays in his college career.
Yeah, but they did spend more capital on or draft capital. He was drafted as the second pick in the third round this year, and that compared to, I mean, Bryce Love was drafted in the fourth round last year. So I mean, it is obviously he did have those injuries, and I think if there would have been, if he wouldn't have gotten injured, he would have gone much earlier. But it is something to monitor because they did spend a third and a fourth round for a running back isn't that's.
I mean, he got a full season in 2019. He got 14 games.
Who are you talking about?
Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I'm talking about Bryce Love. Yeah, I'm talking about Bryce Love. He last year he was drafted in the fourth round.
Yeah,
obviously didn't play
despite those injuries, knowing that he could possibly be out.
Yeah, right. So is that it? What I'm getting down to is it's something to monitor. Which one's going to take over? And I think by the end of camp we'll know. Right now, it's kind of a toss up.
Yeah, it could be anyone. And Antonio Gibson, you don't have the ADP pulled up for him, do you?
Who's that?
Antonio.
Yeah, Gibson is 83.5. So he is going much earlier, running back 36. That's because Ron Rivera came out and said, "Oh, he's Christian McCaffrey." So everybody's all over that, and everybody wants the next Christian McCaffrey.
Of course, I mean if he's going running back 1, why wouldn't you want someone who, even if he's a lower end version of that player, you're hoping for a lot, but we'll see.
A lot of it's coach speak. You got right now. You got
a
Antonio
new coach
Gibson
and a new offense who wants to make his statement of, hey, we're going to do great and I'm going to keep my job. But coach speak is coach speak.
So, anyways, that is the news for today. Just keep an eye, like we said last episode and this episode. There's a ton of coach speak. We're gonna try to wade through that for y'all, so who's going where. What's true, what's not. So make sure you keep tuning in to get
the most up-to-date news. I mean, we
wade through it.
There's a lot of coach speak that we don't mention because we look at it and it doesn't seem realistic. So what we do give you is stuff that we actually believe could be something that could impact the season, and if it's not, we'll let you know that it could just be coach speak.
BS, baby.
Yeah. So make sure you pay attention.
Yeah, so let's get into our top or our bottom, I guess. That's better verbiage. Bottom 11 to 24 running backs. These are our consensus rankings. I'm excited for this. Are you excited?
I'm really excited.
This is where you win. This is where you win your leagues. Grabbing those running back 2, low end running back 1s, running back 2s, as late as possible. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Who's the first? Who's our running back 11?
So our consensus running back 11 right now is actually going to be someone might be a little surprising for some people. Other people might have him higher, but it's going to be Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, exactly. But in the half point ADP, his is right now going at 29.4, which makes him the running back 17. And last year he finished as the 17, and he was coming off his worst season of his career after missing a full season of work. Last season he had a yards per carry of.
You good over there?
I lost it. He had a yards per carry of 3.22 when he's never finished below a 4.0 or higher since his rookie season back in 2013. Now you also have someone who gets 78 to 106 total receiving targets on top of 66 to 80 actual receptions. So in a half point PPR or even a full point PPR league, he's going to be getting you those points there. Now the Jets, of course, as we said multiple times, have added Mekhi Becton in the first round. They've tried to secure that front offensive line a little bit. And Adam Gase has come out saying that he enjoys having Le'Veon Bell there with him. So I'm hoping if he can get that yards per carry up just slightly, he could easily move up from that running back 11 spot or running back 17 spot that he's being drafted at right now. He only had 4 touchdowns last season, and that's 3 rushing and 1 receiving. When you could easily see that pop up by a lot. I mean, they only added Frank Gore in the offense. I know he's getting a lot older as far as the running back room. So everyone's saying that he's going to be stealing the touchdown attempts, but I don't see someone. I mean, Frank Gore's great in the red zone, but I still see Le'Veon getting his possibly. I mean, I think 4 could be his floor for a touchdown total by the end of the season.
Oh yeah, I mean easily. I mean the only thing that worries me is the Jets' offense. Like you said, they did add Mekhi Becton, but is Adam Gase a good coach? No, but but can he use him correctly? We got to find out. I mean, we've seen other players, Ryan Tannehill, Jarvis Landry, Jay Ajayi. Who else? There's a few others that just left and have balled out. So we've seen other players leave the grips of Adam Gase and go on to put up productive fantasy seasons. So can Le'Veon Bell produce under him? I think he'll get the work to do so, but it's a little scary for me. Last year he did have an opportunity share of 76.8, finished that was 7th among the league, so he did have a ton of opportunity. But not only that, he's also getting he had a ton of receptions. He had 66 receptions, which is also 7th in the league for running backs. So not only is he going to get that running back and running the ball, but he's also going to get you those points in the passing game as well.
Yeah. I mean, last year he only had 4 goal line carries, which made him rank 37th in the league.
That's not good.
That's not good at all. And that may have something to do with the fact that the Jets weren't in the red zone very often. So you're hoping that with a team that's going to be behind, even Le'Veon's floor is where he's being drafted at now. So by picking him up is just going to be pure upside. They didn't pick up a running back until later in the draft. So if it was really that big of a point, they would have signed someone by now, or they would have picked up someone earlier that could have assured that spot. Le'Veon, I believe, is on a contract year. No?
Mm-mm. No, they just signed him. That's why I held out.
I thought they only signed him for a 2 and a 3rd conditional.
I think it was 4.
Okay.
Don't have that in front of me, though. But I believe it was 4.
Again.
But anyways, I mean, I think the biggest thing is a fantasy perspective is, like you said, John, he only scored 3 touchdowns last year, rushing touchdowns. I mean, he did in 2015, he did score 3 there as well, but he only played 6 games. Every other year prior to that, he scored 7 or more. So I do think we will see some positive touchdown regression from him. He will get 5, 6, 7, 8 more touchdowns. So I mean, 3 last year is ridiculous. Should have had more. Let's just pray that Adam Gase uses him right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
but anyways,
only thing holding him back.
Oh, yeah, it is. It really is. He is a fantasy football nightmare. You don't want players on his team. But let's move on to our next running back, 12th consensus overall. So low end 1, Josh Jacobs, currently ADP 9.1. Running back 7 off the board. Last year he finished as the running back 18. John, where do you have him ranked in your rankings?
So I'm the reason we have Josh Jacobs, at the 12th spot. I personally have him on my 13. Michael has him a little bit higher than me. And the only reason he's falling for me, and that's only in a PPR and a half-point PPR standpoint, is his passing opportunity isn't there. There's been talk about him getting more passing work all of last season. There was opportunity, talks of him getting more passing opportunity all off season, but yet they kept Jalen Richard. They added Lynn Bowden. So you're adding pass catching backs while continuing to have a stud run someone over back, yet also be able to make a one-cut move and take it upfield. So Josh Jacobs is a great running back. I mean, I have him for 1,300 yards plus. So
which is why he's
going to be up there. I just don't have him for that passing opportunity. And so where I have him at that 13, I have him for 41 targets and 30 receptions. If they can get more than that to him, great. He's going to jump up that list. So, I mean, where I have him right now is where I realistically think he's going to finish. And that's not with not with a bunch of receptions, but a bunch of rushing attempts and a bunch of rushing yards.
How many rushing attempts again do you have?
281. So he's going to be getting a workload.
See, yeah, I have him a little bit more involved in the offense. I have him at 294 rushing attempts for 1,382 yards. And then 9 touchdowns. But I also have him as with 39 receptions on 52 targets and 316 receiving yards with 1 receiving touchdown. I do have him a little bit more involved in that passing game, which personally, I think will happen this year. I do know, they did add Lynn Bowden, and they obviously have Jalen Richard, but he's such a force to be reckoned with. We saw it last year. As a rookie, he's a great running back, and he's not a bad pass catcher. So I think they will get him a little bit more involved. I do have him as the 10th overall running back. With those rushing attempts, his youth plus his receptions, that's kind of why I have him there. And they did come out. I mean, he did come out and say, "Oh, my goal is to, finish as the running or finish with 60 receptions." So, do I think 60 is in the picture? No.
No way.
No, exactly. I agree with you there. But I do think he does get a little bit more involved in the running game and a few more receptions than you have him at. So,
I've got him getting more involvement on both ends. I mean, I've got him for an extra 40 plus carries and an extra 30 plus receiving attempt or targets. So I think he's going to get more work. I just don't think it's going to be that much. And even with that 65, I mean, Kyler Murray came out and said that DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and Larry Fitzgerald could easily finish over 1,000 yards. So I don't buy into a lot of player speak, even less than coach speak, personally, just because.
And I don't have him for 60. I don't have him for 60.
I know. But he's great. He's going to be a huge runner. Just don't see him with that passing attempts. And if I really did, he'd shoot up the list. So if you really think he's going to be a pass catching back, you can take him much higher than I think he is. Because the only thing holding him back is that for me.
Well, not a pass catching back, but a little bit more involved in the passing game, I think.
More of a pass catching, catching more passes as a running back.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is scary because I don't know if I think he will be a little bit more involved as a second-year player, but that I think that's his biggest between my 10 and you said 13 or.
Right now I have him at running back. Yeah, 13.
13. So I think that's our difference. I've got him for I believe 10 more receptions. So I believe that's kind of where we differ. So if you do lean that he's going to get a few more receiving yards, or receptions, then that's why he's going where he's going. If you don't, then don't take him. Don't play that risk. But he's definitely an interesting running back to look at this year. So, but let's move on to our third running back today, and that's Kenyon Drake. Currently going ADP 15.5, running back 12. He finished last year as a running back 16. He was obviously on 2 teams last year, Miami, and then was traded and went over to Arizona, where he was, I believe he was on pace for 246. Yeah, it was 246 rushing attempts. Do you think he's gonna get 246 rushing attempts this year?
Personally, no. I've actually got Kenyon Drake in for 215 attempts.
We're very close on that.
Yeah, and that is actually adjusted after the news of what we talked about earlier with Chase Edmonds. But I have him in for 215 attempts, 1,004 yards. And what really saves his butt is his pass catching.
He is a good pass
And
catcher.
I do have him in for a handful of touchdowns.
I mean, he's never, if you look over his career, he's never carried for more than carried for more than 170 attempts. You know, obviously in Miami that he wasn't used correctly. No. There were other running backs. As a Dolphins fan, it hurts because I do like Kenyon. I like Kenyon Drake a lot as a player. But do I like him as a fantasy football player for where he's going currently? Also no. But
yeah, I mean, you have him going right now as a running back 12. We have him ranked as the 13. So, I mean, close, but the risk factors kind of
that's the thing with Cliff Kingsbury coming out and saying, Chase Edmonds is a one on another team, kind of hitting at that. That scares me a little bit. You know, I know it's just coach speak, but you're not going to say you. I mean, personally, my thinking is if you think he's a good running back or performing well in camp, you'll say, hey, he had a good day today, or you know he's performing well in camp. But coming out and saying like that, I mean, I think that that's a little scary for me. So, yeah. I mean, personally, for the ADP, you know, running back 12 off the board, 15.5. I'm probably going to stay away. I'm probably going to draft a receiver.
Yeah, same. Absolutely. So. But that, you know, above the next person, I'm definitely taking him. And the next person we have right now is going to be James Conner, who surprisingly for, I think, both of us, once we finish our projections and our point statting, finished for us as our 14 when right now he's being drafted at the 25th spot, running back 15. Last year he finished as the running back 33. Obviously, when we project, it's on a 16-game total, just to assume, because you cannot predict injuries and because anyone can get injured at any point. So with the opportunity he should have in that upgraded and more efficient Steelers offense with Big Ben back and their better defense, you should if he can play all 16 games, you could easily have someone who finishes much higher than that 14. But with the fact that they do still have Jalen Samuels, Benny Snell, they did pick up Anthony McFarland. So the running back situation there is kind of a little questionable on how much they actually trust him and how many carries and how big of a share he's going to get. And so with that taken into account, he's someone who very comfortably, if you're picking up as your 14th running back, you're going to be grabbing him end of the second round, beginning of the third. Possibly your running back 2, maybe your running back 3. So someone who's extremely comfortable being drafted there, and I'm really happy with where we have him.
Yeah, I mean, he has all the potential in the world. You know, I mean, he's shown he can do it before. But his injury concern, I mean, that's a real concern. He did add some muscle. Did you see that picture? That
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, Ooh. But in 2018, you know, he played 13 games, so that's solid. Not great, but solid. And he did finish as the running back 6 overall in a half point league. So he's shown he can do it before. I was really surprised, like you said, where he ended up in our rankings. With Big Ben back, you know, does that open the passing work or the passing game a little bit, which, you know, in turn opens up the running game a little bit for him. You know, I guess we'll see, but it's a scary pick. When I pick James Conner, I don't feel great about it, depending on where I get him. But he could return on that investment, which is why I think we have him where we do. At that 15 spot.
Yeah, that spot, like I said earlier, it's either a second or a third running back for you. So you're either going to be playing him or you're going to be flexing him. And as someone you don't have to rely on as a number one, you're not going to be grabbing him as your first running back who you need to be playing week in, week out. But you're definitely going to want him as someone who's going to be filling another roster spot because he could have, especially when he's healthy, huge games. He's super consistent running back and really love where he's going.
Yeah, so if you can grab him, especially as your second running back, then I mean I'd be all for it. He's got super high upside, but that's kind of what we think. So let's move on to our next running back, our consensus running back 15 ADP. He's going in a half-point league. He's going 16.6, running back 13. And listen to this, John.
I'm listening.
He finished as the running back 2 in a half-point league last year.
Yeah, so
and we have him so low.
Well,
why do we have him low?
Because as we mentioned on our Outlier show well back, he had 16 rushing touchdowns last season, which is incredible, especially because it's not the type of player he's in. He is, and it's not the type of situation he's in. Last year, they still tried to split the work between him and Jamal Williams, yet he produced incredibly.
He finished number 1 overall in touchdowns.
Yeah.
19 touchdowns, passing and running, rushing.
And so as someone who's in an offense where they just added A.J. Dillon, you've got both running backs.
Those quads.
You've got both running backs in a contract situation this year. Green Bay's already, loving A.J., so they're like,
yeah, if you follow their Twitter, it's
so
that's it.
There's no way that you see Aaron Jones grabbing up that many shares of the Green Bay touchdown percentage. You saw Devontae Adams come in on his worst touchdown percentage ever last season, where he barely grabbed the ball in the end zone, yet Aaron Jones seemed to run it in every time. So don't see that happening again. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing with I need to prove myself year, especially with them grabbing Jordan Love.
Yeah, they grabbed Jordan Love.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't wrong there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they grabbed Jordan Love. And so I think that you're going to see less of what you saw last year, but with what you saw from Aaron Jones last year, you should still be expecting a great running back, especially in a fantasy purpose. And right now going at the 13, I think is a little high, but I think the 15 is great for him.
Because he gives you that upside. You're gonna pull your hair out a couple weeks. I mean, last year he had 4 games. I'm sorry, under 10 points, and it wasn't when he did get those multiple point games. It wasn't in the best fashion. For instance, in week, apologize. In week 15, he only had 51 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns, which brought his points up to 17. So it's not something you're going to be. He's going to run 51 yards, and then he's going to get 2 touchdowns at the end or 1 at the end, whatever. It's not going to be something that you're like,
oh, I had him last year.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. He lost. He will win you weeks, and he will lose you weeks. He will not be a consistent player, at least last year. Last year, I blamed a lot of that on Jamal Williams being there. And so when I see that they went out and grabbed A.J. Dillon in the draft, it scares me because it's like, crap, we're going to see more of what we saw last year. A lot of shared backfield, a lot of his week. So who knows? But, oh, well, I mean, still someone that as long as he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to be producing. And even if he doesn't get a 16 total last year, he's still someone you can easily expect about 10 touchdowns from. So might as well, if you can grab him late in the draft where we're having him, pick him up. If you're forced to grab him early, make sure you stay away from him because you can't expect that value from him. Where's a
comfortable position for you to pick him up? He's currently going overall ADP 16.6.
Well, personally, I mean, I have him at my 15. So
right where he's going, or just
right where we have him ranked.
Yeah.
I'm extremely comfortable with that. I'm not taking him much higher than that unless I really need to.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I've got him at 13, so.
Yeah. So
it is scary though.
he's
It's
a
up
huge
and
risk.
down. It's a roller coaster, but
Some of these running backs are, especially the next guy we have up.
who's that?
That's going to be the guy we mentioned a little bit earlier about the missing practice. That's going to be Todd Gurley. Someone who, if you did not have this injury risk, you would expect to easily end up a top 4 running back, top 5 running back. If Todd Gurley is running at full steam ahead, great for him. But right now he's getting drafted as an ADP of 35.6 and making him running back 21 and finishing last year at running back 14, especially when he came off of off-season reports where he is going to be getting a timeshare and a load management, which we just saw in a report as we noted in our news today. So who knows how much you can expect from Todd Gurley, but at a 16 running back off the board, if he doesn't,
his upside is ridiculous.
Upside's ridiculous. His floor is manageable. His floor is a flex player. And as a running back 16, that's either, again, your running back 2 or your running back 3. And, if you can take him as a flex, I'd grab him. He's got pass catching ability. He's got running back ability. He's an absolute monster. It's all about his reps that he actually gets. And that's something we're going to have to pay attention to throughout the season. So you're taking a small risk on him.
So, if I told you that you could grab the running back 2 from 2018 and 2017 as the running back 21 off the board this year, would you take him?
See, when you say it like that, it really comes into my roster management and who I have at that point. But if I had a chance to take, I would grab Todd Gurley as my running back 2 again.
100%. I mean,
100%. No questions
he's
asked.
2 years removed off of being the running back 1. I mean, he's going into a better passing offense as well. I mean, they passed the ball over 600 times last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and so on and so on. They're big. I mean, they pass the ball like crazy. So he's a great pass catching back, or he's shown that. So not only are you getting the rushing attempts, but you also get the passing attempts or the targets as well as the receptions. So he's definitely somebody. I mean, it blows my mind that 2 years ago he was a running back 1 in a half PPR league. I mean, it's crazy. And he's going as a running back 21. So I do think that. I mean, it's crazy.
So, as we mentioned earlier, someone who surprised us with how high they are in our rankings, the next guy, we're actually a little surprised how low he is in ours. And that's going to be Leonard Fournette.
Especially because we drafted him.
So I was putting together his stat sheet, and I was projecting his rushing attempts, his passing attempts. I thought I was going to end up with him super high because I really like the guy.
Where'd he finish for you?
I don't even want to tell anyone. I don't know how he did this, but he's my 15. I really thought he was going to be a top 12.
He's my 18.
And looking at what I have him for, I can't see him getting much more opportunity than he is. I mean, even if I give him another touchdown on one of his rushing attempts that just, maybe it's just a happy breakaway, it's only going to move him up a spot or 2. So, and then we do have some news that it's possible that the Jaguars are going to be trading.
We saw it on Twitter. Yeah, we saw on Twitter that Yannick can potentially, this isn't news, but potentially Yannick Ngakoue is being traded to the Ravens, and Gus Edwards and a third is going to the Jags. So if that happens, big asterisk there. If that
huge
happens,
asterisk, but it lets me know that
that's not a great sign for Leonard.
No, it's not, especially because again he is on a contract here. So when part of my projections is him being run into the dirt and them just using him because he's a bruiser, them adding a younger running back that they're gonna at least want to see what he can do, lets me know that okay, let me.
But let's just see how that plays out.
But
if that happens,
even if not, last year he finished as the I want to say the running back
7.
So he's someone who's year in year out absolute baller, especially when he gets the opportunity. As long as there's no injury going on, he's someone you can trust, and you're comfortable putting him in that flex position or that running back 2 position. So he's someone I would take the upside on, or the floor of him over the upside of Aaron Jones.
I apologize. He finishes the running back 9, not 7, but still running back 1.
Still, I would take the upside or the floor of Leonard Fournette as my running back 2 or my flex over Aaron Jones personally.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
I know, and I don't know why my rankings don't show that, but I really don't. I really just feel more comfortable, especially at that running back 2 position. I would take Aaron Jones as running back 1, knowing that he has that huge upside, and I can grab someone a little bit later who can give me a mediocre floor while having a little bit of upside, and I can play that receiver game knowing that grabbing Aaron Jones as my 1 means I've grabbed a really great receiver.
So you're saying you grab Aaron Jones as your 1, and Leonard, you wouldn't grab Leonard Fournette. You grab him. You confused me there.
I would rather grab Aaron Jones as a 1 than Leonard Fournette as a 1.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, Aaron Jones came off a season where he finishes at running back 2. So, I mean, I think 9, that 7 to 9 range is his ceiling, whereas Aaron Jones, we saw it last year. You know, this year maybe it's 3 to 4, but, I mean, he does have that ceiling. So, I definitely would agree there. I would take, for sure, Fournette over Jones. So, anyways, let's move on to, and I'm surprised he fell this far because he's one of the best pure runners in the league.
Absolutely.
And that's Nick Chubb.
Yeah, again, another person we did not expect to be where he is.
I mean, it is a half point league, so he doesn't get those receptions, you know, like most running backs, similar to Derrick Henry.
And he's in a position where you've got another running back who's
very talented.
Absolute baller who was winning people fantasy football leagues 2 years ago, again, going back to how someone was producing back in 2018. So with Kareem Hunt actually being there for the full season, as much work as Nick Chubb's going to get, it just isn't enough in our eyes, apparently, that he's going to end up in the top 12 running backs, especially with the lack of pass catching when Kareem Hunt is such a great pass catching back on top of being a pure runner.
He's just so they know, he is going as the ADP 12.4 running back 10 overall, and last year he did finish as the running back 7. So I mean he's young, but like you said, I mean the first 8 games he didn't have Kareem Hunt, and with the addition of Austin Hooper, you know that offense does get Nick Chubb's not much a part of the passing game, but the offense gets a little bit more crowded.
Yes, not even only that, but OBJ was hurt. Freddie Kitchens was there. I mean, he had the, you know.
What are you looking for?
Snapshot. He actually had a number 8 opportunity share with the number 3 amount of carries in the league. And with them making or breaking it with Baker Mayfield this year, OBJ being back, they invested in a pass-catching tight end who's great. I don't see them relying on the rush so much. So, and Kareem Hunt's there. As great as he is, he's just not going to get that opportunity to produce and be that fantasy football finisher. By the end of the year, he's going to get you that running back 2 numbers, that mid-range running back 2, but he's not going to end up higher than that if Kareem Hunt's as big of a timeshare or backfield as he could be or should be, because just based off of his talent.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, last year he did have 17 touches within the 5-yard line. He only converted a touchdown on 17.6 of those, compared to 9 the previous year. But he did convert 55.6, so 5 of those. But with Kareem Hunt there, and with the added weapons, OBJ's back fully, hopefully, and Austin Hooper's there, I do think that's going to take away from him a little bit. Currently, running back 10 off the board. I think that
It's a lot to ask for.
And I don't know if I'm going to draft him there because his upside, again, I mean, similar to Fournette last year, I think he hit his upside in a half PPR league. Standard league, it's a little bit different. Higher. So, but anyways, in a half PPR, full PPR league, I mean, I think I'm staying away from Chubb just because Kareem Hunt's there. So, especially so. But anyways, let's just number our last few so we don't keep these people too long. Our voices do kind of tend to drag, so we don't want these people to have to continue to listen to us, do we, John?
No. So as our consensus ranking is going, number 18 is going to be Nick Chubb. And as you guys are drafting, you're going to want to be looking at David Johnson at number 19. Again, someone who's into the Houston offense. Last year you saw Carlos Hyde get 241 carries in there. So at least going to be getting some kind of workload depending on his injury risk, which is why he's where he's at.
You like Duke Johnson, too.
I do like Duke Johnson because of the injury risk and because I think that he's not able to carry that workload that Carlos Hyde was able to get. Mm-hmm. But then we've got Melvin Gordon going at 20.
He's ADP 31.4, running back 18. Last year he finished as the running back 23, so a little bit better.
Also finished sharing a timeshare with Phillip Lindsay this year, who's not a running back talent you can ignore, kind of not as high as Kareem Hunt, but again, someone who's shown that he's a good running back, so you're just not going to let him go to the wayside and just keep him as a backup. And then moving on, after Melvin Gordon, you've got David Montgomery as our 21, currently going as ADP 39, running back 22, and last year finished as running back 25. I believe me and Mike both think that last year he didn't get that opportunity that he could have shown. And then when he did get his chances, it was on low yielding opportunities and not so much the best chance to show who he truly is. Last year, I think he could have finished better than where he was. I think he's a fairly talented running back.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the offense he's in is kind of lackluster, and
he did have 242 attempts. So I mean, he did have that opportunity, but his yards per attempt were only 3.7. So I think at least the yards per attempt will go up a little bit. As long as one of these quarterbacks have to, and we've said it before, one of these quarterbacks have to come out and show that they can open up the offense a little bit. If you open up the offense a little bit, he's a talented enough back to get that 4.1, yards per attempt, which is in turn going to help him, boost those yards, give you those fantasy points, potentially getting another rushing touchdown, what have you. He is involved in the passing game a little bit. Obviously, they have Tariq Cohen there, who got over 100, I believe it was 104 targets last year. So, but I think they will get him involved in the offense a bit more. Mike Davis came out last year, week 1. I remember that because I drafted David Montgomery in one of my dynasty leagues. He came out week 1. Mike Davis was the running back, and everybody was freaking out, so including me. But anyways, the next running back in a great offense, great rushing offense, went to the Super Bowl, Raheem Mostert. He does have a good amount of competition. Tevin Coleman's there. They brought him in to be the number 1 running back a couple years ago. Jerick McKinnon, they also brought in. He has been hurt a little bit. And then Raheem Mostert did, show flashes last year that he can be a number 1 running back, but will Kyle Shanahan use him as the sole alone back? I don't think so. If he did, he would be much higher on our list. But getting him where you are, I mean, currently going as a running back 26, we have him consensus 22. I mean, I think that's a steal. I'd be comfortable with him as my running back 2. It is a little bit scary because there are so many other running backs and all the receivers are going down. Who are they going to throw the ball to?
Him. That's why. The only reason he's ending up where he is because of the fact that he is someone who's shown to be a pass-catching back. He is someone who's shown that has the breakaway potential. As someone who's getting over 100 carries per game or 100 carries per season, he ranks number 1 as breakaway runs last year, even with that split backfield. So you're expecting a lot from him. Even with Tevin Coleman, you still have Matt Breida leaving that offense and going to Miami. So whatever you have happening there, he's going to get a split of that. Even if they end up going more in that pass catching game, he's going to get those balls. So I'm super happy where he's ending up right now because he's someone I find as a super cheap steal later on in the draft, going as the RB26, finishing as the 24 last year without adding any more running back room. You're going to be happy grabbing him at a 22. I personally have him going as a running back 23. And I might see a bump in that with depending what's going on with the camp in the next few weeks. But someone I'm super happy to pick up.
Yeah, I have him very close to you. I have him as the running back 24. I don't have him as involved in the passing game. I only have him down for 15 receptions, 159 yards, but 2 touchdowns, or 2 receiving touchdowns. And then I do have him almost at 1,000 yards. So if he can prove himself to Kyle Shanahan to be enough to take touches away from Jarek or from Tevin, I do think he will be, bumped up. Definitely a situation to monitor because they have been saying that Jarek has been proving them, doing pretty well in camp. So definitely an interesting running back for where he's going. His upside, I like him a lot. So,
you know who I don't like a lot?
Oh, let's hear it. Chris Carson?
It's going to be Chris Carson, our 23rd running back off the board. I don't like the fact that they added Carlos Hyde in the offseason. I mean, Rashad Penny's hurt right now, technically. He ended the season hurt.
So is Chris. I mean, he did have
exactly part of my point.
Yeah.
Everyone's really hyping him up. He's someone who's going really high for people. He's going RB16 when he finishes the RB11 last year. But again, they added Carlos Hyde, who stole 242 attempts from Duke Johnson last year.
Ooh.
And so that's a pretty heavy workload from someone who's jumping team to team to team.
Right.
He's not in a steady backfield where he's earned that workload from that team. So I don't think Chris Carson's going to be getting that share that he's used to. I don't think that as heavy as Seattle's run game's going to be, don't think he's going to get that portion of it, and that there's too many other people they can throw the ball off or run the ball off to. And I think 23 is pretty fair for him, if not lower. Personally, it's a possibility high upside that he finishes higher.
Yeah, he does have the upside. Obviously, last year of 11, he put up a good amount of yardage the year, rushing yardage the year before, over 1,100. So he has that upside, but I don't like the fact that they added Marshawn last year at the end of the year,
especially in the playoffs. Yeah. They don't trust him.
And he fumbles the ball a ton. I mean, he fumbled the ball 7 times last year. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't think I would. I mean, maybe I would. I'd fumble the ball like 12 times, 14, 15, 16. But, I mean, I have him down for 5 fumbles.
0 carries.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, my first high school snap, it was a quick story, real quick. First high school snap, I was a kicker, so it was a PAT, and the ball got muffed by the holder. I picked it up, and I got tackled, and I fumbled it. So that's my football story. That's my only time I got tackled. First play of the game. I was a soccer player before that.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So moving on from Chris Carson, surprisingly and as sadly as it is for me to say, Ronald Jones is going to be our 24th running back.
Not sexy.
It's not. I want him way higher.
Oh, you do?
I want him in like the 16 range.
Where do you have him?
Actually, at the moment, oh man, put me on the spot.
I got him at 28.
I've got him at 21. And so, as much as they've added Keyshawn Vaughn in Tampa Bay's offense.
And LaShawn McCoy.
And Tom Brady. and
and
Rob Gronkowski. So they've added a lot of passing opportunities. But I think Ronald Jones has shown last year. I mean, he finishes the running back 26. So at the running back 24,
it's only up from here.
It's only, I mean, realistically, it's only up. They had Peyton Barber last year, who was someone who they were trying to run the ball with and trying to figure out who they wanted more or who they trusted a little bit more, and they kind of never figured that out. So with Peyton Barber not being here, they've added Keyshawn Vaughn
and LaShawn
McCoy. I actually still really like him. I still think he's someone who's young, going to be getting the ball, going to be getting opportunity.
He also posted a picture on Instagram where he's freaking yoked.
Exactly. He's a monster. Tom Brady's come out and said he likes him. They've talked about working more in the pass catching game, which is just going to be giving him more opportunity in a PPR league. I think he's someone that you should take that risk on. And right now, being drafted in the 65th spot, 66th spot in a draft, you're picking him up in the 5th, 6th round. Someone you can take that high upside on him. And if it doesn't work out, make sure you stack it up later.
Now, one question for you. Is it because you have him in a few dynasty leagues? Is that why you're so high on him?
There could be a little bit of bias.
A little bit of bias.
Just a slight bit.
It's all good. I do think he has a high upside. I really do. I mean, they've come out and said that like he put on the muscle. They want him to be more involved in the offense. Bruce Arians didn't seem to like him last year, but it was his first year with him. So this year he could take a step forward. So, I mean, and like you said, he finished as a running back 26. So, finishing 2 spots higher than that, I think is definitely attainable, especially with the addition of Tom Brady. And LaShawn McCoy didn't do much. I know I've been saying his name just to mess with you, but LaShawn McCoy didn't do much last year. We saw it in Kansas City. And if you're going to do anything,
it's going to be in
that offense.
I mean, realistically, he got 172 carries last year, splitting a backfield with someone when the coach didn't know who he wanted to use. Even as high as I have him finishing, I only have him in for 210 carries. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm expecting him to get a much larger workload than he got last year, just a little bit more. And
that's, 26, 24. It's fine.
And so I think, personally, 21, you've got him at 28. I think we're going to end up with someone who's going to be absolutely great either way.
Yeah.
And then, rounding it up.
That was it?
That was it. That was 24.
That was 24 of them. 11. Okay. So tune in to or listen to our last episode, our top 10. Today was our 11 to 24. But let's get into our beer of the day real quick before we let y'all leave. Fruity.
Weedy.
Very hoppy. 68 IBUs. I mean, it's
hoppy.
Like we said, it our second most bitter beer on the menu. But like we said at the beginning, we are drinking on the Sunshine City. I got it right that time. IPA, Indian Pale Ale. It is from Green Bench Brewing Co. in St. Pete, Florida, our home state. Shout out Florida.
A lot of Florida beers, but hey.
Well, I mean, it's because we're in that area. We pick them up from Publix, ABC, stuff like that. But a lot of these beers we have been talking about, you can get at your local.
You can find near you.
Yep. So go on their websites and stuff like that if you want one. But so the reason it's called the Sunshine City is because St. Petersburgh is called, and I'm reading this from the can, or at least the info's on the can. The reason is because St. Petersburgh had the Guinness World Record for logging the most consecutive days of sunshine. Consecutive sunshine in the world. And that's 768 days.
Wow.
How many years is that, John?
2.5, 365.
365.
It's about 2-ish.
Just over 2, I think. Yeah. 40. 50.
Crazy. Math is a fun subject, but yeah.
We suck at it.
This is so this is a great.
I'm sorry, you.
I am
appalled.
I am baffled.
Befungled. Buffoon.
I'm great at math. But moving on. So this is actually a really good beer. It hits you with a nice little weedy taste and hoppy taste. It's a 6.8.
Little hoppy taste.
It kind of punches you in the face, but it's a 6.8 ABV, and the hops are actually going to be a Mosaic, a Citra, and a Azacca.
Azacca?
Azacca.
Grammar, math, anything but
Spelling.
Football. We suck.
Math. Spelling, not my thing. Great hops. I do taste a good amount of like a nice little citrusy flavor after that little hop smack in the face.
A little grapefruit.
I
get that grapefruit.
You get grapefruit?
Not a big grapefruit guy though, but I get that grapefruit.
Get a little bit of tangerine. Maybe a little pineapple.
Is that on the can?
I don't know.
It is, isn't it? I didn't even read it. But I mean, it's a great beer. The Sunshine City. If you're in the St. Pete area, go visit them. They've got 3 owners: Stephen Duffy, which is a dope last name; Nathan, even better name, Stone Siffer, and Chris Johnson, spelled with a K. So pretty dope names. If you're, shout out if you're listening to us, because
we'll tag you.
Yeah. So their goal was to create unique beers, as well as create a dope environment for St. Pete. They were actually the first, brewery or microbrewery in St. Pete. So they started as a hobby, it says, and they went to full time. Hopefully we can start this as a hobby and move it to full time too. That'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. Make sure you guys like, follow, share, subscribe, and shout it out to everyone you know.
All that. John, what do you think about this beer? Give me your honest take.
I think it's a really solid beer. It's a pretty good drink. I'd actually probably give it a 7.2.
7.2. So
I think it's easy. Like I said, easy to drink. I could have a handful of them. They're nice. Doesn't have the flavors I'm looking for, but doesn't have anything bad about it. So can't take anything away from it. Like it. Good flavor. The bitterness isn't too much for me, but not what I'm looking for in my beers.
Yeah, see, I'm an IPA guy. I would give it an 8.2. That's a solid. I think that's the highest I've ranked a beer. I mean, it's up there. I think I'm gonna go looking for this.
That is that is the highest you've ranked a beer.
Oh yay! Congrats, Sunshine City, or Green Bench, I guess. But if you go to their website, greenbenchbrewing.com, you can check out the tons of other beers. I mean, they've got like 10 or 15 different beers. Pretty dope. I mean, a ton of different beers. So you can also go to, if you're in the St. Pete area, you can go to their website, like I said, greenbenchbrewing.com, and online order. You can click the little online order button, go pick them up at the tap room. Their tap room is located at 1133 Baum Ave North in St. Pete. They also have a second tap room. It's called Webb's City Cellar. I believe it was at the Webb City Drugstore in St. Pete, downtown St. Pete. So pretty cool. I mean, the building looks really neat. They got like a bunch of little, like a grass area and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So thanks again for everyone tuning in. And if you guys have any beers that you want us to review, tap rooms you guys want us to review, if you are a beer tap room or brewing company and you want us to take a look at your beers and maybe give you guys a review, make sure to send it in to us at The Fantasy Tap on Instagram and Twitter, and thefantasytap@gmail.com. If you guys want to send us a nice little sweet email, then
tell us you love us.
Pay attention to what's going on. Make sure you guys tune in again tomorrow, and we will be having our first round of our wide receiver rankings.
Ooh, receivers, baby. Let's get it. All right, guys, we love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.